Welcome to Invisible Tears. I'm here with Amanda. We're going to give you guys some updates today. A few weeks ago, we did a episode on a baby doe. It was in Northfield, Vermont.
Yep, in Northfield, Vermont. Yep.
We did an episode on this baby doe, and Amanda has an update on that case. It was an unsolved case.
Yep.
But a few days ago, there's an update on it now. So Amanda's going to share the update.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys remember at the end of that episode, and if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to that episode first before you listen to this. But at the end of that episode, we just sort of left it. We were a little bit confused, right? We said last we knew about this 1982 baby doe from Northfield, Vermont. They hadn't been identified. Partnering had occurred with Parabon Nanolabs. Between them and the Vermont State Police to try and figure out the genetic genealogy, but there had been no updates. Well, now they actually put out a press release as of May 29th. The Vermont State Police announced that the case is now actually resolved. And there actually is not going to be any sort of criminal charges brought in the case either. So this is the update. Parabon Nanolabs was able to successfully get a genetic profile for the baby. And what happened was in 2021, the DNA profile of a female was given to the police and it was entered into CODIS. So the female profile was from the samples obtained from the swabs of the infant and the items that had been found on the infant. The entry into CODIS did not result in any sort of identification or leads. But then in December of 2021, Parabon provided a lead for possible names of Matthew Isaacs, which is what they actually named Baby Doe, biological mother and father. So what happened was these subjects were researched. They were found to have ties to the Northfield area in 1982, but they were living in Maine. With the assistance of Maine State Police, personnel from the Vermont State Police contacted these subjects at their residence in Maine. With legal process in place, detectives were able to obtain DNA from them. These DNA samples later were tested by the Vermont Forensic Laboratory, and it was confirmed that they were the biological parents of Matthew Isaac. So now I'm sure you all are wondering, well, no criminal charges, like what's going on here? Unfortunately, while this is an update, we'll give you guys, it is a sad update. So yeah. Each of the biological parents agreed to provide statements to the investigators. Apparently, in 1982, the biological father had actually left Vermont for an extended period of time. He had no knowledge of the pregnancy or the deceased infant. The biological mother admitted that she had been responsible for unlawful disposal of the deceased infant. She described that at the time, she did not know she was pregnant, and she did not have any symptoms that led her to believe that she had become pregnant. The biological mother described how she began to feel abdominal pain. She first thought she was ill, but then she realized she was going into labor. She labored alone for several hours and lost consciousness. And when she regained consciousness, she found she had delivered a baby boy, but the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. The baby did not survive. She did say that she wanted to give the baby a proper burial and planned to find a spot in the woods to bury him. But while she was walking out into the woods, she thought she heard voices. She became very scared and panicked. She turned to go and she slipped. The baby fell out of her arms, and so she ran. So the Vermont State Police, after getting these statements from them, they met with the Washington County State Attorney, Michelle Donnelly, to review the facts and the circumstances of the investigation into this infant's death. The charge relating to the unauthorized disposal of a dead body, it was determined that it was beyond the statute of limitations, and therefore there was no applicable criminal charges to be filed with the death investigation. And with this as well, the names of Baby Doe's parents will not publicly be released either. So with these findings, the investigation into this Baby Doe's death is now classified as resolved. It definitely, I mean, this is significant. This took a ton of time. The the Vermont State Police in their, public announcement that they put out there, they definitely acknowledged, the assistance over the years from the Vermont Forensic Lab, the Washington County State Attorney's Office, the Chief Medical Examiner's Office, the Northfield Police Department, Maine State Police, the FBI, Parabon Nanolabs, Justice Drive, and Season of Justice. So a lot of people played a really, really significant role in finally bringing this to resolution. I don't exactly know or understand why the timing of this of why this press release was just put out now. Maybe there was just some sort of backlog of it, but it does look like this actually came to resolution essentially in 2023. And so they put out the press release now about it. So now the mystery is sort of solved.
Maybe they heard our episode that it was unsolved.
Well, I didn't want. It's funny. We actually got a comment on one of our reels on social media with somebody making sure that they tagged an article, because tons of articles were written about this. But the gist of all of the articles that I scanned, really what I did was I just took the Vermont State Police, the press release, because all the articles essentially included all the same information. But it was cute. Somebody actually tagged one of our reels and was like, "Did you see the update on this? You guys made them put this out." It was really nice. It was a sweet message. We'll totally take credit for that. If you guys are going to give us credit for that, but we can't say affirmatively that is why.
We'll take credit for that.
We don't know if the coverage on it is actually what prompted them to actually put out the press release or not.
No,
but it is, the timing is interesting, and we do very much appreciate the promptness of the press release that was put out there. Because we were just very confused. Once we dug in, we were very confused. We didn't understand. We were like, okay, it's been a couple of years now, and so what was the result of, because we knew that the Justice Drive had reached its goal, so we assumed work had, was being done. We know there were no indicators about the results of the genealogy work, so we very much appreciate the information.
It could have been too that they were still trying to decide if they were going to charge them.
True.
And talking with, Maine and trying to decide what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, at first I was like, I can't believe that they are, letting her get away with it. But you know what? I sat and thought about things, and you know what? Charging her would never change anything. It's my understanding she was very young.
While they didn't release her, like how old she was at the time, based off of what she described, it does sound like she was very young.
Very young.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what she went through. And
Right.
I'm sure if she was trying to find a proper burial place, that day in the woods, I'm sure that was something that she's had to live with for her whole entire life.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been, haunting her for a long time.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to judge her.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
I don't
don't.
either.
We don't know what her circumstances were. I know of, a few people that went full-term pregnancy and didn't even know they were pregnant.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that was the case with her. And I'm sure as soon as she figured out that she was pregnant, I mean, she didn't know she was pregnant. She was feeling pain,
Mhm.
and the pain got worse and worse and worse. And she passed out.
Mhm.
She was alone.
Mhm.
She woke up to a baby with a cord wrapped around its neck. I'm sure that scared her quite a bit, and that kinda almost gives me the mind frame that she was very young.
Yeah, me too.
Um, I know people that have gone full-term pregnancy and not know that they were pregnant until they got to the emergency room and found out that they were in labor. It does happen. It does happen. people say, oh, how could that happen? It happens. Especially if you've never been pregnant before.
Mm-hmm.
Your first pregnancy, you don't know what your body's going to do or feel or any of that. So, I'm glad there's a resolution.
Me too.
I'm glad that they're not exposing their names or their
Me
identities.
too. Me too.
And, I hope that, they can, move on with their lives, or at least she can move on with her life knowing that, you know, she's not gonna be charged, and, hopefully she goes and visits her baby Doe
Yeah. Yeah.
or baby Matthew. Um, but yeah, I think, uh, we should not be judging her, and, I'm not gonna be judging her.
Yep. I won't either. Nope. I won't either. Certainly wasn't in her circumstances. Certainly you can't until you're in someone's position, you don't know what you would do in certain circumstances. So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely no judgment here. One of the other articles that I actually found, and of course I forgot to print it off, so I don't have the exact name too, but it was an interesting spin and it was an interesting take for this case. One of the kids that found Baby Doe was actually interviewed a couple of days ago.
really?
Yes. And so that article is out there. I'll actually make sure and put it in the show notes for this episode so you guys can read it. But the only thing that he said was, I'm just really glad that there's resolution and that it's known who this child, even though he didn't know, like who this child is, because that date has haunted me my entire life.
Yeah.
Said every April 1st was a haunting anniversary for him. And he was like, I feel good. Like, I feel like lighter, like there's resolution, like this is understood. Like somebody, like people know, the people that need to know who this child is. And it just kind of took me back. And I mean, obviously none of the names of the kids that, found this baby would have ever been made public because they were minors, but it took me back to how traumatic that had to have been for them, because it was a group of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it was a group of them
Yeah.
that found them. So
Yeah, because they were at the bus stop or something.
yeah, they're waiting for their
Yeah.
bus. Ugh.
But again, DNA, genealogy, DNA solves another mystery
Yep.
and another unsolved case. So kudos to them.
Absolutely.
They just keep solving and solving and solving and solving and solving. And what a it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome that the authorities are very much using this technology,
Yep.
more and more and more and more and more on these old cases and cold cases, and so hopefully one day my case will have a hit. But we'll see. So that was the update on baby Matthew, or baby Doe.
Yep.
And again, thank you for listening to us. Share our podcast, please. Subscribe, please. We've got the ending of our season coming up.
We do.
So be sure to tune into that. And with that, keep listening. Thank you for supporting us. And we hope you have a good one. Until next time.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Invisible Tears. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast to hear all future episodes. Click into our link tree too in the episode description to find and follow us on all our social medias. And it also links to our website, invisible-tears.com, where you can keep current on any events that may be coming up, read more about Jane and the team, and read more about all the Connecticut River Valley unsolved cases. Evil may exist in this world, but we will not let it win. See you next episode.